Good evening, fight fans. The time you've all waited for has finally come, and it is UFC 251 Fight Island. Stacked card. Couple rematches, couple title fights, and just a lot of excitement all around. And I, Josh Evans, the Fight Geek, am here tonight to bring you my favorites and the best betting lines for your money. The first fight on the card is Amanda Ribas versus Paige VanZant. One of the most one-sided fights, probably the only throwaway fight on the card of the night. And that is going minus 710 for Amanda Ribas, which is a ridiculous line, but it's probably indicative of what's going to happen. Amanda outclasses Paige in every possible category. She's a better striker, a better wrestler, and those are two things that Paige really struggles with in terms of defense. She's prone to getting hit, and she's prone to getting taken down. I don't see a way Paige wins this match, and I think the line is indicative of that. With that said, minus 710 is not really a good line to bet on. So I think what you might want to look at here, if you absolutely have to bet, is the fight goes the distance, yes or no. It's coin toss, minus 110 on both sides. I would say the smarter money probably is on the fight ending early. But again, I would probably avoid this fight as a straight-up bet. The only thing I might recommend is using that darn near sure Amanda Ribas victory as a parlay builder. So that is that. And our next fight on the card, another women's match that is a much more exciting matchup, in my opinion. And that's Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas in a rematch. Now, in their last fight, Rose was slammed, absolutely freak KO'd, going for a Kamaru trap. She was picked up and dropped on her head, fight over, flash knockout. Now, that was the second time of the night she got slammed going for the same submission. So I would hope that she avoids that submission or has learned how to defend against the slam. She was outstriking Andrade for most of the fight, and honestly, I thought she was ahead on the cards up until that moment. So her coming into this as an underdog is probably only indicative of the fact that she lost, but I don't see it happening that way again. So with that being said, I am betting Rose minus 210. I think that is a good value bet, and I recommend it, and it is on my Stone Cold Lock parlay of the night, which I will reveal to you at the end of this video. The next fight is Jose Aldo versus Petr Yan. Now, this is only Aldo's second fight at this weight class, and he is kind of on the other side of the hump in terms of his career. So I really look at this as a gatekeeper match for Petr Yan. This is a big ticket name that gets him on a big ticket pay-per-view, and I think Yan is really supposed to win this fight. With that said, the line is still a little bit skewed, I think, because Aldo is no schlub, and Aldo has vicious kicks, and I think Aldo is still a dangerous fighter. Yan is definitely going to have him in terms of overall cardio, in terms of controlling the pace of the match and keeping the pressure up. So I think Yan definitely has an edge here. Yan minus 240 is not where I'd like to bet this fight. I think your smartest money on this is the over 2.5 rounds, which is the distance bet at minus 182. I think it is a good value bet, and I think that there's a pretty darn good chance that these guys take this fight deep. Maybe not 5 rounds, but I think 3 rounds is very, very realistic. Moving on the card, we have Alexander Volkanovski, Alexander the Great, versus Max Holloway in another rematch. Now, for those of you who saw that match, Alexander really kept the pressure on. He did a great job of countering. He did a great job of striking, and he pummeled Holloway with tight leg kicks. Now, I think Holloway's advantage is distance and space. Volkanovski is a better striker, and he's a better wrestler, but Holloway is dangerous. Holloway is a long puncher, and he is a volume puncher. He was prevented from using those advantages by the consistent pressure of Alexander the Great and those steady leg kicks, which really slowed Max down and got him a little bit gun-shy. I think that Max Holloway plus 188 is undervalued here, despite these facts. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Holloway lost. They went the distance, but he did not fight his fight. I think he knows Alexander's tendencies a little bit better, and he is the class of fighter that I think is going to react and adjust accordingly. So, with that being said, that is my biggest underdog pick of the night. Max Holloway, plus 188. I think it's a good value bet, and I think that there's a good chance he comes out of this as the winner, paving the way for a third fight. Lastly, we have the main event. Now, the main event is Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal in probably one of the most exciting fights in terms of names that we could imagine, right? But given the fact that this fight was taken on short notice, given the fact that Masvidal had to cut 22 pounds in about a week, and considering the fact that he did that while traveling halfway across the world, I think this is a really tough fight for Masvidal. Now, with that said, Masvidal thrives in tough fights. Masvidal is not the kind of guy that walks around out of shape. Masvidal is not the kind of guy that really needs the tools sharpened. He is a veteran. He is a tough son of a bitch, and he thrives under pressure. It's kind of a no-lose situation for him in a lot of ways, because he is not expected to win this, and he's got that out that Usman talked about of taking the fight under a week's notice. So I think that actually plays into Masvidal a little bit, and makes him a little bit undervalued in a lot of ways. But with that said, Usman is still the smart money at minus 265. If you really like Masvidal, I would rather bet on the no, on the question of whether the fight's going to go the distance, because Masvidal is going to have to come out swinging. Usman has too many weapons for this to be a long, drug-out fight for a guy who's taken that fight on a week's notice. So I think if you're thinking Masvidal, your better money, your better odds are on the no. Fight will not go the distance at minus 159. That covers both ways and gives you an out in case you are wrong. I would love to see Ghetto Jesus string a surprise win here. I think he really shocked me in the Diaz fight. He's a monster, and he's a one-of-a-kind talent, but Usman is probably one of the best athletes alive today, and it's hard to imagine an upset. With that said, my stone cold lock, ridiculous parlay that I do not recommend you all jump in on whatsoever because there's too many variables here, but I'm betting it because I'm crazy, is Rose to win. The Yan fight to go over 2.5 rounds, and Max Holloway for the upset, capped off with Kamaru Usman for the win. That's it. That's my stone cold lock. Those were my fight tips. Have fun tonight, fight fans. Be safe. If you're going out, wear a mask.